What if the single most common way of explaining your Social Security options is actually tricking your brain into making a financially worse decision? You have a monumental financial choice ahead of you. Claim Social Security at the earliest age, 62, and get a smaller check for a longer time. Wait until your full retirement age, say 67, for your full benefit. Or delay until age 70 to receive the maximum possible monthly payment for the rest of your life. This isn't a small decision. For the average earner, the difference between the best and worst choice can be over $100,000 in lifetime income. It's one of the biggest financial levers you will ever pull. Yet, despite the math overwhelmingly favoring patience, a huge number of Americans claim early. In 2023, nearly a quarter of all new beneficiaries took their benefits at age 62, accepting a permanent 30% pay cut. Only about 9% waited until age 70. Economists are so perplexed by this behavior that they've given it a name, the claiming puzzle. Why do so many people knowingly leave a fortune on the table? It seems irrational, but your brain has its own logic, and it's not always working in your favor. The answer isn't found in a retirement calculator. It's buried deep in your cognitive architecture. Over the next few minutes, we're not just going to do the math. We're going to dissect the powerful psychological biases that are hardwired to push you toward the wrong decision. We'll explore the mental traps of framing, loss aversion, and psychological ownership. By understanding these traps, you can learn to see the choice not as a confusing gamble, but as the single best insurance policy you can ever buy for your future self. Let's begin. The first and most powerful trap is how the choice is presented. It's called the framing effect. A 2016 study by Jeffrey Brown and his colleagues found something remarkable. When financial advisors presented the claiming decision using a break-even analysis, which asks at what age the total money from delaying catches up to the total money from claiming early, it overwhelmingly pushed people to claim early. The break-even point is typically in your late 70s or early 80s, and thinking about it makes you focus on the risk of dying before you get your money back. Your brain interprets this frame as a gamble. However, when the researchers reframed the exact same choice, the results flipped. Instead of a break-even chart, they presented delaying as a gain. For every year you wait past your full retirement age, you get an 8% bonus on your lifetime income. Framed this way, people saw delaying not as a risk, but as a smart investment with a guaranteed return. This simple change in language dramatically increased their willingness to wait until 70. The numbers didn't change, but the story your brain told itself did. The break-even frame triggers our deep-seated loss aversion. Loss aversion is one of the most powerful forces in behavioral economics. Pioneering research by psychologists Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky showed that the psychological pain of losing is about twice as powerful as the pleasure of gaining. When you think about the break-even point, your brain focuses on the potential loss of payments if you die before that age. You imagine years of checks you could have received but didn't. This potential loss feels so visceral and immediate that it overshadows the much larger but more abstract potential gain of a higher income for life if you live longer. Your brain is wired to avoid the short-term pain of regret, even if it costs you a fortune in the long run. The next cognitive trap is called psychological ownership. Research from Payne and Shu identified this as a key driver of early claiming. You've been paying Social Security taxes your whole working life. It feels like you've been putting money into a personal savings account. This creates a powerful feeling that it's my money and I want it now. But this mental model is fundamentally wrong. Social Security is not a savings account. It's a social insurance program with a pay-as-you-go system. The taxes you paid didn't go into a vault with your name on it. They were immediately paid out to current retirees. Your future benefits will be funded by the workers of the future. Finally, there's present bias, also known as hyperbolic discounting. This is your brain's tendency to want smaller payoffs now rather than larger payoffs later. It's why you might choose to watch another episode on Netflix tonight instead of going to bed for a more productive day tomorrow. When it comes to Social Security, the promise of a check next month, even a smaller one, feels more real and gratifying than the abstract promise of a much larger check 5 or 8 years from now. The immediate gratification of starting your benefits lights up the reward centers in your brain, making it incredibly difficult to make the patient, long-term choice. These three biases, the framing effect, psychological ownership, and present bias, create a powerful cocktail that makes claiming early feel like the safe, smart, and satisfying thing to do, even when the math says otherwise. Now that you understand the psychological traps, let's arm you with the real math, framed in a way that helps you fight those biases. First, understand the magnitude of the early claiming reduction. If your full retirement age is 67, claiming at 62 means your monthly check is permanently reduced by 30%. Let's make that concrete. If your full benefit would be $2,000 per month, claiming at 62 drops it to just $1,400. That's a $600 haircut every single month for the rest of your life. The reduction isn't temporary. Your benefit does not pop up to the full amount once you reach 67. It is a permanent decision with decades-long consequences. Now, let's reframe the reward for waiting. For every year you delay claiming past your full retirement age, 67, up to age 70, you earn delayed retirement credits. This increases your benefit by 8% per year. This isn't a market return that might go up or down. It's a guaranteed, government-backed increase on your lifetime income. Waiting from 67 to 70 means your final benefit will be 124% of your full amount. Think of it this way. Where else can you get a guaranteed 8% annual return on your money with zero risk? You can't. This isn't a gamble. It's an incredible financial deal that your brain, trapped by loss aversion, might not immediately recognize. To visualize this trade-off, imagine two runners on a racetrack marked with ages. The claim early runner starts at age 62 and gets a huge head start, carrying several bags of money. They're way out in front for the first decade. The claim late runner doesn't even start until age 70. They begin far behind, but they are a giant, moving much faster and carrying much larger bags of money with each step. For a while, it looks like the early runner made the right choice. But then somewhere around age 79 to 81, the giant claim late runner overtakes the now tired claim early runner. From that point on, for the rest of the race, the late runner is not just ahead, but pulling away dramatically, accumulating far more wealth over the finish line. The most powerful way to fight your brain's biases is to reframe the entire decision. Stop thinking of it as a break-even gamble. Instead, think of delaying Social Security as buying longevity insurance. It's an insurance policy that protects you against the single biggest financial risk in retirement: outliving your money. If you die early, you lose the bet, but it won't matter because you're gone. If you live a long life, however, running out of savings is a catastrophic risk. A larger inflation-adjusted Social Security check every month for the rest of your life is the best possible protection against that risk. You aren't betting on when you'll die. You're buying a guaranteed income stream to ensure you can live with dignity if you are one of the 50% of 65-year-olds who will live past 85. For married couples, this decision becomes even more critical and complex because you're not just deciding for one life, but for two. The key is to protect the surviving spouse. When one spouse passes away, the survivor gets to keep the higher of the two Social Security benefits. The smaller check disappears. This makes the higher earner's claiming decision incredibly important. By delaying until age 70, the higher earner is not just increasing their own benefit, they are buying a larger insurance policy for their partner, ensuring they will have a higher, more secure income to live on if they are left alone, which can often be for a decade or more. This leads to a powerful strategy for many couples, especially where there's an age and income gap. Often, the optimal strategy is for the lower-earning spouse to claim their benefit early, perhaps at 62 or their FRA. This provides some income to the household to help bridge the financial gap, making it possible for the higher-earning spouse to delay their own claim until age 70. By doing this, the couple gets some cash flow early on, while still maximizing the most important number: the permanent highest possible benefit that the surviving spouse will one day depend on. It's a coordinated strategy that protects both partners against the risks of retirement. Let's debunk some of the most common myths that fuel bad decisions. First, I should claim at 65 because that's when Medicare starts. This is a false link. Medicare eligibility at 65 and your optimal Social Security claiming age are two completely separate things. Your full retirement age is likely 67, not 65. Tying these two distinct decisions together is a mental shortcut that can cost you dearly. Evaluate each on its own financial merits. You must enroll in Medicare at 65 to avoid penalties, but your Social Security decision should remain independent. Another dangerous myth is the belief that if I claim early, my benefit will pop up to the full amount when I reach my full retirement age. This is absolutely false. The reduction you take for claiming before your FRA is permanent. If you lock in a 30% reduction at age 62, you will receive that reduced benefit, adjusted only for inflation, for the rest of your life. There is no magical reset button at age 67. The Social Security Administration calculates your benefit based on your lifetime earnings and the precise age you file. Once that calculation is made, the percentage of your full benefit you receive is locked in for good. Understanding this permanence is key to appreciating the gravity of the decision. Perhaps the most emotionally charged misconception is the fear that I should get my money before the system runs out. The headlines about the Social Security Trust Fund can be scary, feeding into the psychological ownership bias. But here's the reality. Social Security can't truly run out of money. As we discussed, it's a pay-as-you-go system funded by payroll taxes on current workers. Even if the trust funds were depleted, ongoing tax revenues are projected to be able to fund the majority, around 75 to 80%, of promised benefits. While a 20% cut would be serious and require a political solution, it is vastly different from the system going to zero. Making a permanent, suboptimal claiming decision based on a temporary and solvable political problem is a classic case of letting fear drive your financial bus off a cliff. So, with all this information, is delaying until 70 always the right answer? No. While it is mathematically optimal for the majority of people who have average or better life expectancy, it is not a universal rule. If you have a serious health condition and a genuinely shorter life expectancy, claiming early could be a rational choice. If you have an urgent, unavoidable need for income and no other assets to draw upon, taking benefits early might be your only option. For the very wealthy, who don't need the income for living expenses, some complex strategies might involve claiming early and investing the money in high-risk, high-return assets. The key is that these are exceptions, not the rule. The default path for most people should be to delay as long as possible. Ultimately, making the right choice requires you to overcome your brain's flawed defaults by asking a better question. Your brain wants to ask, when do I get my money back? Or, how do I avoid losing out if I die early? These questions, fueled by psychological ownership and loss aversion, will almost always lead you to claim early. You need to consciously reject them. The quality of your financial life in retirement will be determined by the quality of the questions you ask yourself today. Don't let your primitive brain's programming dictate a decision that your future self will have to live with for decades. The right question for an individual is, how can I maximize my guaranteed inflation-protected income stream for the rest of my life? This shifts the focus from a lump sum mentality to an income stream mentality. It reframes delaying as an action that builds a bigger, more resilient financial foundation. For a couple, the question is even more important. How do we work together to maximize our joint lifetime income and, most critically, protect the surviving spouse from poverty? This transforms the decision from a selfish one about my money into a selfless one about our security. These are the questions that cut through the cognitive biases and illuminate the path to a more secure retirement. Stop asking when you'll break even on your past contributions and start asking how you can best insure yourself against a long and unpredictable future.